It was just another ordinary Tuesday afternoon, or at least that's what I thought. I had just finished a long meeting at work and was grabbing a quick break at the local coffee shop before heading back to the office. I parked my car in a small, quiet lot, the kind of place where you could take a breath and forget the world for a while. The sun was beginning to set, casting a soft, golden light over everything. The distant sound of passing cars mixed with the murmur of people talking inside the shop. I was scrolling through my phone, thinking about the work I still had to finish, when I heard the screech of tires. I glanced up, just as a couple of police cars pulled into the parking lot, their lights flashing. My first instinct was to think something had happened nearby. Maybe an accident. But then I saw the officers get out of the cars, and they were walking directly toward me. Something felt off. I felt a cold knot in my stomach as I watched them approach. My mind raced. I hadn't done anything wrong. Was there some kind of mistake? Before I could even finish the thought, one of the officers knocked on my window, his face serious. I rolled it down, trying to keep my composure, though my heart was beginning to beat faster. "Is there a problem, officer?" I asked, my voice steady but laced with confusion. "Step out of the car," he said, his tone flat, without any explanation. I felt a surge of panic. "What's going on? I haven't done anything wrong." The officer didn't respond, just repeated his order. "Step out of the car." I hesitated, but I did as I was told. I opened the door and got out, feeling my legs shake beneath me. The other officer circled the car, speaking into his radio. I couldn't make out the words, but I heard something about an operation and then a few more muffled phrases. I stood there, trying to figure out what was going on, but everything felt surreal. Why were they stopping me? Why now? I was still trying to make sense of it when the first officer turned to me with a cold expression. "You're under arrest," he said. I stared at him in disbelief. "Arrest? For what? What had I done?" "I haven't done anything," I said quickly, my voice trembling now. "I'm an FBI agent. You've got the wrong person." But instead of apologizing or asking for clarification, the officer just gave me a blank stare. He didn't seem to care. "Yeah, sure, you're coming with us," he said, his voice dismissive. My mind spun. I couldn't believe what was happening. I was being arrested for something I didn't do, by officers who didn't even believe who I was. I reached for my jacket pocket, pulling out my FBI badge and ID, hoping it would make everything clear. I handed them to the officer, but instead of backing off, he just looked at the ID like it meant nothing. "We'll see about that," he muttered, before turning away. My hands were cuffed before I could say anything else. The cold metal of the cuffs tightened around my wrists, and my stomach dropped. I could feel the heat of my face burning with embarrassment. I couldn't believe this was happening. I felt like I was trapped in some nightmare, like I was watching myself from a distance. There I was, an FBI agent, handcuffed, being treated like a criminal by people who were supposed to be on my side. I wanted to scream, to tell them how wrong they were, but the words caught in my throat. I was being treated like I was nothing. No one was listening to me, not even when I told them I was part of the agency, not even when I showed them the badge I had worked so hard to earn. All I could do was stand there, stunned and helpless. The officers pushed me into the back of one of their squad cars. I could hear my breath coming in shallow gasps, my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to make sense of it all, but my thoughts were a jumble. How could this be happening? How could I, someone who had worked so hard, who had given everything for this job, be treated like this? I glanced around, noticing people staring at me. Some of them looked curious, others just shook their heads as if to say, "That's how it goes." I couldn't escape the humiliation. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to scream at the injustice, but I felt so small, so powerless in that moment. All I could do was sit there, my body trembling, feeling a sense of betrayal that I couldn't explain. Time seemed to stretch on forever, but eventually, another officer showed up. This one didn't seem as hostile. He took one look at my ID and badge and immediately understood what had happened. A mistake. A massive mistake. The officer spoke quickly to the others, and suddenly, the handcuffs were removed. They told me I was free to go. They apologized, but I could hear the lack of real sincerity in their voices. As if they thought a simple apology could erase everything I had just gone through. But the apology didn't matter. The damage was done. I walked away, but my mind was still reeling. The feeling of being wrongfully arrested, of having my authority dismissed and my dignity stripped away, it lingered long after I left the parking lot. I kept asking myself, how could this have happened? Why didn't they believe me from the start? It wasn't just a mistake, it was a complete disregard for who I was, for the badge I wore, for everything I had worked for. I still don't know what would have happened if I wasn't who I am. If I wasn't an FBI agent, would they have taken the time to listen? Would they have seen me as someone who deserved respect? Or would I have just been another face in the crowd, wrongly arrested, forgotten? That day stayed with me, haunting me. Not just because of the arrest itself, but because of how it made me feel. How easily it is to be misjudged, to be dismissed because someone else is too quick to make assumptions. It made me question everything. About the system, about trust, about how fragile everything can be when you're at the mercy of others. And that question still lingers. If I hadn't been who I am, would I have ever been believed?